Has there been a drug that you just wouldn't do again after one?
I'd never do another deliriant. I mean, not just because of the nutmeg one. There's a deliriant called Datura. And wherever you are, you cannot have a high on Datura. Do not do it. You know, a deliriant, being delirious is the last thing you actually want, and you can die. I was compelled to somehow do this thing, even though I didn't want to do it.
Now, before we get into your early life, Dominic, we've got some quick fire questions, only 5, to find out a bit more about the man behind the drugs.
Okay.
What's one crazy drug fact that blows you away?
The fact that people put nutmeg on custard tarts and eat it as though there's nothing wrong with it. Because nutmeg is actually a deliriant, and if you have more than one, you are going to have suffer delirium, which is not a nice place to be, and it can be potentially fatal.
When you say more than one, what do you mean by that then?
The nuts.
Right.
Right. So you put a little nutmeg on food.
Yeah.
It adds a bit of flavour.
Yeah.
But if you go too far, I mean, not, you know, what a normal person would not go too far with nutmeg, but if you actually made nutmeg tea with a couple of nutmegs, say, you're going to suffer dire consequences and possibly death.
Why are we not taught that?
Can't you just buy nutmeg in like a shop?
Yeah, you can go for Sainsbury's and get yourself some nutmeg, but don't. Seriously, it's not a high. I mean, when I tell people about nutmeg, I'm always worried that they'll describe it as an hallucination or a psychedelic experience, which makes it attractive to naive people.
Right.
Suffering from delirium is not the same as an hallucination or having a psychedelic experience.
Oh, okay.
You've completely lost track of what is real and what isn't. And it's usually dystopian, dizzy, painful, headache. People have put their heads in gas ovens thinking it's a time tunnel.
No.
Try to cut worms out of their arm. You know, that's not where you want to be.
Right.
But the fact is that that's what nutmeg is. It's got a poison in it.
Yeah.
A toxin, and unfortunately it does cause a lot of havoc for people who think, oh, it's psychoactive.
Yeah.
I'll have some nutmeg. And unfortunately, it can all too often lead to a terrible...
Wow, what a great fact. And that's question 1. Right.
Has there been a drug that you just wouldn't do again after one?
I'd never do another deliriant. I mean, not just because of the nutmeg one. There's a deliriant called Datura. It's a seed, and people do the same thing they do with nutmeg. They think, oh, Datura I'm going to try that. And then you somehow on a forum or on Reddit, you'll get some complete idiot. Oh, I had Datura. What a great trip. And you're thinking, no, it wasn't. You're a liar. And why are you doing this? Because what you're doing is you're making all these kids who are reading this think that they can have a high with Datura. And wherever you are, you cannot have a high on Datura. Do not do it, because it's like even a quicker version to get to where I was with nutmeg. You know, a deliriant. Being delirious is the last thing you actually want, and you can die.
Right.
And what I decided to do is I had to have Datura because I had to document it, because again, it had to be in the book. I was compelled to somehow do this thing, even though I didn't want to do it.
You were aware of what it was going to do.
I knew what it was going to do.
How safe could you make your situation before you did it?
That's what I was trying to do. So I thought, one of the problems with Datura is that one seed can be 7 times more powerful than the next seed.
Oh, right.
How do
So
you know the
actually
difference?
establishing the dose is actually... There are ways of volumetric testing where you can put a certain number in water and crush it up and make a tea, and then you can calculate the average and stuff like that. But people out there generally aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought, okay, well, what I want to do is I want an excuse to put it in the book so I can explain why you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
So I got a whole load of Datura, and I thought, well, I'll have 1 seed, and bearing in mind that it could be 7 seeds.
Yeah.
And 7 seeds is pushing it.
How big are these seeds?
They're tiny.
Like,
Yeah.
And these come out of a plant, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Datura, Devil's Angel plant. It's got devils, you know.
Yeah.
So
And what country?
Devil's
does it-
Trumpet, that's it.
Okay, and where's that come from? Where that?
I think it comes from Mexico, or
Yeah.
you can buy them. I bought them on the internet off,
Right.
some botanical centre in England somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I thought, what I will do, I will find the biggest, juiciest datura seed in this pack, and I'll just have it. And the worst scenario is I'm not completely lost out my tree. Not completely. Yeah. Best scenario, I'm somewhere, I'm feeling the effects. Worst scenario, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
So I had this one seed, I crush it up, have it with water.
And you're at home on your own?
I'm at home, on my own. And I'm sort of thinking, okay, well, don't get sort of morose about this and don't start thinking, just get on with what you do. And after a couple of hours, an hour and a half, I'm like, I'm going to go for a swim because it's a pool around the corner. So I go for a swim. And it was when I was swimming, I was thinking, oh, this water's absolutely wonderful. And I was wondering, what are you doing? I'm in these really, really strange thoughts. And then I'm walking back from then, it was dark. And I'm sort of thinking, I'm realising that my senses are actually hitting my brain at different times. So I'm seeing something and then the audio from it will land a microsecond later.
Oh.
And my brain, my sort of consciousness is trying to put them all together in a coherent reality.
Right, yeah.
And I'm understanding then that when that's how delirium works. Because this is how people stick their heads in gas ovens.
Yeah.
Because they're not putting it together in the right way. Whereas I'm sort of there hearing something and thinking, that happened 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of realising my sensory organs are in complete disarray, but I know I'm walking down this street.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't go any deeper than this, because if I put it back together and it's wrong, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Are you walking past people? Like, are people just
There was
getting on with
nobody
their lives?
around. It was sort of a semi-rural area. And
Yeah.
if I saw someone coming, I'd be sort of avoiding them.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know how to react.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've done that with a few drugs. I don't want to because I've known when the woman came to the door with whatever it was, what terrified me was, how am I going to talk to her without her realising I'm completely out of my tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was aware of that, and then I was stood looking at these pampas grass for 10 minutes. They were sort of spooking me out, sort of swaying in the dark, and I took about 20 pictures of it. And before I came out of it, and thought, "What are you doing? Come on!"
Right.
And then I got home and realised, my God, I thought they hadn't worked, and it had.
Yeah.
Because clearly there's something not quite right with. And then I went to sleep and I had the most ridiculously, vibrantly colourful dreams. And that happens with quite a lot of psychedelics.
Right.
You sort of this different dream world.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a different dream world. But the next day I was tired, but more or less back to normal.
Right.
That's just from one seed.
Fucking hell.
So that was a bit of a weird one.
How do you deal with getting nervous before you take these things? Why is that not enough to put you off?
Because I knew it was a deliriant and I was never going to have another deliriant.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm an arrogant prick, and I think I know it all. I generally do a lot of work on the drug before I take it. So when I take some chemical or whatever drug it is, I know from reading so much stuff, what the doses actually are and broadly what it's going to be like, I think, and how long it's going to take to come on and what the implications are for tomorrow. I also know generally, am I going to be, is the wife going to know that I'm completely out of it?
Does your wife like that you do this or not?
She didn't like it at all. She's not at all happy about it.
So what's she doing when you're doing this?
Oh, carrying on the business of housewifery. No, that's sexist. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But that was a joke. No, she's just doing her stuff. She goes to the gym and she did. And I tend to do it in the sort of when I did it at home.
Yeah.
And that's only half of them. This is the legal stuff I did at home.
Yeah. Do you not do it at home now? Is it?
I did the illegal stuff away, and a lot of the plants I did in the actual origin of the plant.
Right.
Because I thought that would be a better location for set and setting to do it there.
Yeah.